Thank you. Thank you, everyone, and welcome. Welcome, everyone, despite the awful weather. Thank you for coming and attending what I'm a very special event. My name is Sasha Perugini. I have the pleasure and honor of being director here at Syracuse University in Florence. For those of you who may not come in, we just started. Come in. Yes, we just started. Yeah. Yep. Hello, hello, welcome. Still raining, right? So I was just introducing myself. My name is Sasha Perugini. I have the pleasure and honor of being the director here of Syracuse University in Florence. For those of you who may not be aware, Syracuse University in Florence is an international education and study program that has been in Florence since 1959. So I like to say that. So we're here to host a very special event. I'm particularly proud to host this event tonight. It's a significant event and it's on a significant theme. We will be here to hear discussions about this theme of reuse in the Mediterranean region. The panel is the brainchild of Julia Czerniak, who is Associate Dean of the School of Architecture. Julia has been in this role for 2 semesters now, and apart from the numerous things that I'm sure she does, she's also responsible for the internationalization of the programming, international programming of the School of Architecture. So that's how it all started. I'm particularly happy and honored that Julia selected Florence and this place for the first of what I hope to be numerous encounters and events of this count. The reason why I think these moments are particularly important because they encourage global collaboration and also encourage the flow of intellectual discourse and academic, so to say, energy. So again, this is great, and thank you for making, even in this weather. Dean Michael Speaks, the Dean of the School of Architecture, unfortunately couldn't make it tonight because of flight rescheduling, but we still have a wonderful audience. So thank you, everyone, for coming, and please join, welcome with me, help me welcome Julia, sorry. Thank you very much, thanks.
Okay, great. Well, good evening and welcome to tonight's event, which is really an opportunity to discuss strategies for the reuse of buildings, landscapes, and infrastructure in this culturally rich and socially diverse biogeographical region, the Mediterranean. And Sasha's already introduced me. I'm Julia, and it's a pleasure to be here. And thank you, Sasha, very much for your support of the event, and to Richard Rosa, who you probably all know him. He's the director of Syracuse Architecture in Florence. And thanks for all your help in organizing this and getting me a crowd. That was perfect. And as Sasha says, I say hello from the dean, and he will be here next week. So before I introduce the panel, who are sitting in the front row, and the structure for the session, I want to take a few minutes and set the framework for tonight. So reuse is, of course, nothing new. Buildings have been reused for centuries, especially when scarce building materials and limited transportation made it difficult and expensive to construct anew. So what the design fields call now adaptive reuse is most often associated with the preservation of historically or architecturally significant buildings, such as the Tate Modern, which you see here, which basically remade the former Bankside Power Station into a venue for contemporary art. Reuse is predicated on obsolescence as a result of age, outmoded function, economic impracticality, environmental failure, and even the social and spatial implications of political crisis. So each of these factors calls into question how to revalue all elements of the built environment, not simply buildings, and not simply significant ones. So in this way, contemporary reuse expands the range of what is otherwise called adaptive reuse to include the transformation of underutilized land, obsolete infrastructure, and incomplete everyday buildings and landscapes, all of which challenge demolition as the end game for even the most prosaic of artifacts and environments. So reuse obviously promises a myriad of benefits that are well documented. There's economic ones, such as lower material costs and extended life cycles. There's environmental ones. We conserve land, we reduce sprawl, we decrease material waste, and we promote energy savings, as well as cultural, by conserving and reframing socio-political heritages. In addition, reuse provides other opportunities across scale and type. And I'm going to briefly mention 5 here, using examples that I know from deindustrializing regions in Western Europe and the northeastern parts of the United States. So first, reuse rethinks convention. I'm showing here the Ruhr Museum, located in the former coal washing plant on Zollvereins's World Heritage Site in Essen. Whereas the museum conveys the natural and cultural history of the Ruhr, I'm struck by the way it appropriates the building's historical conveyance systems to now move people, which is especially dramatic when it opens up in the morning. Or in Peter Latz's Duisburg Nord, where in the context of healing a polluted landscape, industrial artifacts are reclaimed for new kinds of recreation. Climbing walls become climbing relics, and containers for energy sources become containers for scuba divers. Second, reuse sites such as this, which is the Tyson coal and steel plant, also catalyze design imagination. And sites that are ecologically adapt out of industrial uses provide really a simple example. So on the left, you see the emergence of vegetation years after the closing of the rail, and on the right, a planting detail within New York City's High Line. Strategies for reuse span across scale, both spatial and temporal, from that of material invention, and here, as Stas reuses a highly durable product, aggregate from porcelain toilets, from their manufacturing processes to produce a high-performance surface of sustainable pavers. To the regional scale, here with concerns of incomplete settlement and infrastructure in the Madrid region, and I'll return to this example in a moment. Additionally, reuse provides the opportunity to embrace, perhaps in contrast to strict preservation, the fact that cities are dynamic. They both rise and fall. So this beautiful juxtaposition of Rome and Detroit by Charles Waldheim suggests that depopulation, abandonment, and decay and incompleteness are very much a part of the cycle of cities. In fact, a recent symposium at Cornell just a few weeks ago foregrounded the debate around the conservation of particular moments of history versus the preservation of traces of continuing historical development, very different strategies. In fact, cities like Detroit, with its 71,000 abandoned buildings, has demonstrated that the reuse of everyday building, not just those deemed significant, may have the most potence. Here, artists and entrepreneurs have taken advantage of this real estate to build design labs and house-sized artwork, such as the Ice House Detroit on the upper right, that both creates a messy and temporary hybrid of architecture and nature, leaving no waste after the work is done. For example, the ice melts and the project's just gone. And finally, reuse can be wildly speculative, often cultivated in the context of academic environments that advance possibilities. And it's no surprise that all those presenting tonight are either currently teaching, involved with universities, or have done so in the past. So here, Penn students at the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia they examine incomplete urban development in the Madrid region, which comprises 25% of it, and you see that in pink, and I'm sure Daniel's going to refer to this later, and made proposals for its reuse. From using underutilized toll roads as sites for new waste-based economies that engage connectivity of these corridors, to propose a network of waste material processing, storage, and research, to a sort of muscular reforestation strategy that leverages the surplus of cleaned and irrigated land to reintroduce a tree canopy and understory to the Madrid region, to the proposal for somewhat wild new economies that serve as provisional civic experiments, and more so, really, simple provocations. And I like very much their appropriation of normative media to do so. And you see their kind of collages on the right. So I'm really quite thrilled to be joined tonight by colleagues doing such work in this region, and together we begin to understand its capacity. Frankly, it's looking at this in this region is not something I know much about, so I look forward to learning it with you. Because all of the examples I shared suggest that contemporary reuse is not simply a compromise between historic preservation and demolition. Rather, it embraces this sort of between status and invites speculation on how design professionals can contribute to the ambition of reuse and not just build our way out of contemporary economic, ecologic, and political challenges, all the while producing a culturally rich and socially just built environment. So in this context, since their backs are facing you, I thought I'd show you their pictures. I'm going to introduce our participants, who will each give a 20-minute presentation on creative adaptations of infrastructure, landscapes, and buildings from cities and regions in Albania, Greece, Italy, and Spain. And so first, and it's in the order of presentation. So Elizabeth Tarani is an architect in Como and New York, as well as an associate professor at the Spitzer School of Architecture at City College in New York. She has crafted a number of exhibition sites from abandoned infrastructures, such as the Trento tunnels, and a proposal for the Museum of the Cold War in the submarine base of Porto Panorama, which I think we'll see tonight. Her team's international character and expertise in devising innovative solutions to unconventional problems place it at the forefront of contemporary work in the emerging domains of transdisciplinary practice. Daniel DeRiva holds a Bachelor of Architecture from Cornell and a Master's of Science in Real Estate Development from Columbia. He's currently a real estate advisor at Knight Frank, Spain, leading strategic proposals for large urban development projects in Spain, which integrate issues pertaining to planning, policy, and finance. Previously, DeRiva was on our faculty here and in Syracuse, teaching programs really all over the world. His research explores the complex relationship between real estate and the built domain. Panos Draganas is an architect in Athens with a practice called Draganas Christopoulou, as an associate professor at the University of Patras. His design work has been distinguished in many architectural competitions, and he publishes extensively on Greek architecture and contemporary urban issues. Panos was the co-curator of Made in Athens, the Greek participation in the 13th International Architectural Exhibition at the Venice Biennale, and his current research and design activities focus on the transformation of Greek cities during the economic and social crisis. So thank you and welcome for coming. So following these three presentations, we're lucky to have two short responses followed by a discussion. The responses are by two architects who are teaching with us here in Florence. First by Alberto Iacovoni, who's an architect and founding member of Architecture Mao, whose practice embraces an open field between media and architecture, city and landscape, research and profession, focusing on spatial interactions and appropriations. Alberto has been a visiting professor and lecturer in many universities, as well as dean and cultural coordinator of the Roman seat of the IED. And that will be followed by Gianandrea Barreca, who's also an architect and partner of Barreca Lavera, based in Milan, and collaborator with the Domus Academy, where he was until recently the director of the Master in Urban Vision and Architectural Design program, and is currently the scientific advisor for architecture and urbanism. So thank you all for coming. I really look forward to it, and we'll begin with Elisabetta.